Hello, class. Happy Monday. Welcome to week 2 of our marketing class. Um, so today I wanted to go through your submissions and kind of walk through it, and I guess a little bit go one by one and maybe explain some things that I thought were positive, some things that were maybe less positive. Um, and give some advice and feedback. I appreciate those of you that have turned it in on time. If you haven't turned it in yet, please do. These are required assignments, so you're going to need to get those in. Yeah, so if you did turn it in, full credit. That's how grading will work on this. Basically, you need to submit it, and you'll get full credit. And then I'm going to provide critique and feedback over time. Now, for those of you that I provide negative feedback or constructive feedback, however you want to say, you don't necessarily need to resubmit. You can, if you'd like, you can improve it and resubmit it, and I can regrade or provide additional feedback. You could also email me if you'd like to work on these things. But this is really for you. My hope is that you get better, and not necessarily that we just stay working on the same thing. So we're gonna try to build on things. So some of these skills will try to build on each other over the semester, but you don't need to resubmit your assignment. Okay. So there was a question on where to get the assignments. This is just the main page here. If you come down here to this homework/project link, that will open this file and you will see our first assignment here, week 1. All right, so for week 2, we're moving on to really defining the problem here, and your deliverable is going to be totally different. We did a slide last time, and actually I'll get into why we picked a slide, but this time you're going to do a video, okay? And there are the instructions in here, and really what I want you to do is take this and interpret it and produce whatever you can, and then I'll provide feedback as I will this week. So hopefully what you can take is a little something that some feedback that I'll provide in this week and kind of use it on week 2. Okay, so let's talk about week 1. And I'm going to open our submissions here. And Theodora, you're the first on my list, so I apologize. You're the first that pops up. Well, I don't know if I apologize. You just happen to be the first because alphabetically you're first. So let's get into it. So number 1, the reason I submitted a slide, and actually as I've been going through these things, what popped out in my brain was what we were really trying to create, or what the instructions was trying to guide you to create, and maybe my recording was trying to get you to create, was really a digital advertisement. So something not necessarily that would be in a magazine or like a technical magazine or a place that you had a ton, a lot of place to really develop out a lot of prose and a lot of text explaining the idea, a lot of technical diagrams. That was not the direction that this was to go. This was really, I think, scaling more towards like a billboard advertisement or a social media advertisement, or really trying to get you to take those instructions and kind of strip them down, take the text and compress it, and really give us those bite-size, kind of little nuggets, and connote what your brand is and what you're doing in kind of as few words as possible. So I think a few people accomplished that really well. I think the vast majority, if I had to give like an overall critique of the class, and I take this, this comes back to me ultimately, so apparently I didn't convey this strong enough, is what I saw is way too much text on these slides. We want to be able to convey our points very succinctly. People have limited time. When we're talking about marketing, when we're talking about advertisement, like if you think somebody's going to read an article, like, man, getting somebody to look at an image is hard enough. Getting somebody to read an article, man, that is difficult. So really, the further back we go to like just bite-size, quick content, the much easier it is to get people to understand our message. I want you to take that, and I want you to think about that when you're delivering a recorded pitch, or where are we? What did we call this? Defining our problem in a short video. So talking about what the problem is. You want to talk, you want to try to distill that down and talk about it as succinctly as possible. And in fact, what I would really recommend is people try to really slow down when you're talking. Insert pauses. It produces dramatic effect. It gives people time to digest what you're saying. So even when we're talking, you want to think about, how do I not just say everything in the world that's on my mind? How do I nail the most important points that I want to say and make it excruciatingly obvious, or extremely obvious, what I'm trying to communicate. All right, and I realize that my video is not staying on, so let's see if we can get. Oh, well, I'm not going to be able to get my video. That's fun. Let's see. Float to top. There we go. That's what I'm trying to find. All right. So my video's back up. Well, you heard me. You didn't see my hand movements and gestures, which might be for the best. All right. Let's keep going here. So you can see here, like, I think I get a sense of the brand. There's actually this great image of this woman laying on like a boat. There's this, it's black and white with a color. Like, there's some color palette things going on here. It's artwork that is balanced between precision and feeling. So it's an artwork. It's targeted at women and nature lovers. So this image I get a lot of these things. The only thing that I would say is I think you could take a lot of this text and distill it down. One of the great tools for doing this, and I'm not sure how much you guys use this, is ChatGPT. Plugging in your text and saying, hey, give this back to me in a couple bullets, and then refining that and refining it and refining it. AI is a really great back and forth tool if you don't have somebody, in your life that you can kind of bounce every single idea off of. AI is a great tool for doing that. So I think this is starting to get the right direction, but really we want to refine it further than it's at. Okay, let's keep going. Okay, so again, I'm getting some brand connotation. Obviously, there's, with Little Lotus Yoga, so I'm assuming this is for Little Lotus. So I get that it's kids, I gotta be honest, with Little Lotus. But it's busy professional, so I'm off. So that's me. Maybe, see if other people think the same, but I'll tell you that that's the first thing that hit my head. So the coloring, great. Icons, great. The person doing yoga, great. Like, I get the brand connotation. I understand what's going on. I get the look and the feel. This is to me, this is an 8.5 by 11 that you're going to hand out at the yoga studio. That isn't something that's really compressing our language and really saying, what is this thing and why is it better than the other people that do similar things? Okay, so again, compress, compress, compress. All right, we're going to keep going. So this one, I know your body changed your life. So I like the tagline. There's the branding here is a bit like it almost feels like very corporate to me. There's one statement on a slide. Really we wanted this in one slide. You've got really a whole kind of branding deck here. Really what you want to do is compress this back into one slide that talks about everything in here. Let's keep going because I know there's, let's see. Okay, so out of all of them, I would say out of all the submissions, this is my personal favorite. To me, it's dark. I got it. Like, there's dark coloring and it's a restaurant. This thing says slow nights, strong pours, beautiful company. Like, it's a restaurant. If it's not a restaurant, I'm thinking it's a restaurant, but like, this thing connotes, I understand what's going on here. It's quite obvious to me what this is. You probably could get away with pumping up the size of some of this text to make it easier or something like that. That's getting real nitpicky. If this moth is kind of what's going to represent your brand versus the brand name, okay, I can understand having it's so large. So just, there may be some things to think about of how you might reconfigure this, but to me, this is a submission that really brings everything together. And, in one slide, I can really understand the look, feel of the company. All right. So this would be something that I would try to mimic. All right, this is, I saw this on a few. So like I was saying, this to me is one of those that gets more into, let me see if I can, there we go. So this is one of those that gets a little bit more into something that we might expect to see like in a magazine that's got like a little more area to explain all the services. You really want to take this and condense this down. If you had just these icons, potentially, is really enough, with just the words below them. You don't need to say all of this language. Again, in this type of presentation, maybe you want to then get into more detail, further in your website or something. But when we're just talking about one image to represent the company, like I feel like you probably could have gone with the logo and just the icon to really get the point across. All right, I'm going to try to go, and I apologize for, well, I won't skip. I said I was going to say I apologize for skipping. The Google Docs are tough because they make some of them. Some of yours I won't be able to talk because Google Docs is weird and I can't open certain things. Okay, so again, you can see how small this text is. Like that's basically our problem here. When we have so much text, it becomes so small. I have to zoom in on seeing these things. You can't expect somebody that's interested in your branded company to try to strain to read and understand what's going on. All right. This is interesting. So this caught my eye as something that's likely created by AI. I don't know if it is or isn't, but image creation using AI, is kind of interesting, and I would really recommend you play around with image creation with AI, because it can really compress ideas and make visual representations of those ideas pretty seamlessly. Again, so you can see a lot of text. I don't personally connect executive wellness coaching with this. Like this is just really generic consulting. I would try to think, and maybe this is where something like ChatGPT could help you, of taking what your business is and then ideating around, well, what's an image that actually represents that, rather than just kind of a generic consulting image. So I'd really suggest you use some AI tools to help you. You guys are going to understand that in this course, I'm going to harp on that quite a bit, of using AI tools to help. All right, same thing. I got it. I got boots, right? Way too much text. Really, we gotta consolidate this down. Okay, same thing. I think this is someone that wasn't exactly sure where the assignments were. So let's take this, compress these down into just a few bullets. I like having like this image, like actually, this isn't a bad image if this represented a larger portion of our advertisement. Cool. It looks to me like more like music production because of the tool that you've got there. But if that's what the business is, that's great. That can be great imagery. We just want to then overlay some text on it, describing the business in I guess more detail, but less words. All right, same thing. Too much text. So you'll see as we go through these, we've got lots of text. So this was one that I found was interesting because I read, so on this submission, I actually read the text here, and the text actually, man, it really gave me that this person had really deep understanding of their market and like who they're trying to sell to and why they're selling to, and it was actually a little bit, I don't know about divisive is the word, but like it cut kind of, it was in some respect a little bit exclusionary, but in an interesting way. So it says, if it's South by Southwest, Coachella, Bonnaroo, Lollapalooza, if it's too loud, you're too old. Like, man, what a statement, right? That really gets to the root of what's going on here. But then like the imagery, like it just kind of fell off for me. So I actually love that statement. Um, and then it says, or so we used to hear. So I won't get into the rest of it, but just the first two kind of statements in there really, hit me. Um, so yeah, trying to then I got lost in the imagery and I had to read all the stuff. So if you could take those points and distill them down into, a tagline or something like that, I think that would be really helpful here. All right, I actually did something for this business and I actually haven't looked at it. So this could be a total train wreck. But, it's a CVN clothing company. Your ideas, we print them on the fly. Okay, so a van with an open door, like that means nothing to me. I actually took this text and I threw it into ChatGPT and basically I said, try to give me an image that represents this business. And well, that's what you got. So I would actually say that this is too much text, but you can see that like it's got a box, he's like it's a delivery guy, so it's bringing it to you. So they took out the van and they went the direction of having a person with a box. And maybe we could have the box be like open with printed stuff coming out of it a little bit. But this to me, like man, it's way more approachable. And then we put this this text on the top with paring this language down a little bit. This to me does a much better job than just displaying an open van. I get it. There's a person behind this business. They're delivering something, right? So just and again, this is the first time I had looked at this. This to me, it really connotes what the business does a lot better than an open van. Again, and all I did was take the copy and I threw it in here. And from there, if I don't like it, I can hit, show me another one and generate more of those ideas on what a good output would look like. Where are we? Man, too many tabs. All right, let's keep going here. All right, similar, way too much language. I get it. It's an app. There's parking. I would throw this thing into ChatGPT and see what it gives you back, and then take that and run with it. There should be an easier way to represent this visually. Okay, so I opened this thing up. This is a Prezi presentation. So this is just really tough because it requires me to go into Prezi. Like it's just really tough to have to navigate around this stuff. I get it that it's visually stimulating, but this is just a really difficult medium unless we're doing like a presentation. And in fact, zooming back out is really, really difficult. So I don't think Prezi is the right medium to create this one slide in. All right, same thing. Too much language. Let's distill this down. You'll see that this is my number one kind of pet peeve is too much language. I thought this did actually a pretty nice job. It shows that it's a car with suds. It might be a little difficult to see that, but not too bad. You got you got the product in the middle. I get it. It's like something in a bottle, right? This to me does a great job of talking about what the product is, how it works. So this is a nice job too. All right, same thing. Let's get the text out of here. We need to add an image. RYG Electric. You should be able to very easily represent your business as an image. You probably have images of workers doing this work. Okay. Images convey so much. That's why I'm maybe focused on images. All right, I don't know if I can. Whoa. All right, so this was a dating app, and the image just kind of lost me. I get it that this is maybe the app icon, but it just there's nothing that's taking what this language is and showing it to me visually. Okay, so we want to have visual. We want to have small number of words addressing the items that the assignment gave you. This is kind of the same thing that I said that I was talking about, like it sort of looks like a magazine type ad. Like it's laid out that it sort of looks like a magazine ad to me. It's got a bunch of different pieces. It's got some features. It's just there's a lot too much here. Perhaps maybe we had an image of somebody like running and looking at it, or something like that. That would be an interesting way to go. I'm trying to get to the end here. I know there's a lot. Same thing. To me, this reads like a magazine. Um, I actually like this is interesting. I think like there's some consolidation that could happen in this text. This is I actually the branding here is pretty nice. Um, it's not really clear to me that it's a discrete wearable scented patch. So maybe something that maybe like showing the patch on somebody's arm or whatever, could be, but something. But yeah, I'm getting a little bit lost in what the actual product is. But I like the look and feel of this is quite calming. So I think from a brand perspective, you've done a nice job. Maybe just work on communicating the information. All right, I think I've got a couple of Google ones that I can't show. Okay, so this person used a existing product. Obviously, we know this is an Apple Pencil. I actually think this is pretty interesting. Like pixel perfect precision, draw right. Draw right and write with precision. You've got two rights in there, but haptic feedback and experience you can feel. I think you are weighing a lot on the Apple Pencil standpoint. If your business wasn't Apple Pencil, it might not be obvious like that this thing is used for tablets or something like that. Um, it does feel like an advertisement, so like I think you did a nice job. Perhaps on the next one, don't be so assumptive that everybody's going to know what the product is, and maybe like weigh into a little bit more, to try to explain the product. But this is not bad. I think this one, yeah, coming up to the end here. This is pretty interesting. I see the product on the front. I see the view. Like this is great. I do think you could probably have AI help you create this image, and maybe higher fidelity, and distilling this down. Field Lens is a great name. So I think you can just distill your language down a bit, but this is nice. Yeah, this is just multiple slides. You need to condense this down and pick an image. This is one of those products, so YT time. Most people have experienced a formal event, don't want to attend. So have your beverage on hand to get you. Oh, there's some. So I'm assuming it's a tie that has a straw when you're drinking or something like that. Um, you need to consolidate this and explain what the product is. I do not. It's not clear to me what the product is, here. Again, this is another one that sort of looks like a magazine ad. You really can compress this language, um, but I get what it is. Pretty obvious. I get what the language is. Perhaps like showing these types of people, might be good rather than just kind of showing the product. Might want to play with that. Same thing. See, too much language, distill it down. Show me the thing being used. Show it me in the field. Show me with somebody playing with the app, getting angry at their thermostat or whatever. It's water savings, it's not thermostat. Anyways, okay. So that's my feedback. Hopefully, there was something important or beneficial in there that you could either use, or if you heard from somebody else's and you saw something, looking at these other ones, maybe there's a good takeaway for you. Okay? All right, so that hopefully will help you looking back, looking forward again, take those same points of logic and really think about this problem statement, defining our problem, hit the points, really think about this as like, in some respect, it's think of it more of as like a television advertisement or a TikTok advertisement or something like that, where you're looking directly at the camera and speaking to people, and film it as if you're doing an ad. And I think that'll be helpful and beneficial. Okay? Don't do it as if it's a classroom exercise. Do it as if you're going to record and use this to sell a product or service. All right? Okay, so for this week's lecture, so we've got two items here. We've got one that's writing a problem statement, and two that is value propositions, what they are and how to create them. All right, and I'm gonna start. I'm gonna go through this one, the value propositions, what they are and how to create them, as I believe it will be interesting, I guess. So let's go with this, and I'll stop it and do what we did before. All right.
Our products. In this video, we're going to talk about value propositions, what they are, and how to identify what your business's value proposition is to help you stand out from your competitors, connect you more deeply with your customers, and ultimately help you sell more. So let's dive into it. Hey everybody, my name is Dan Dembski, and I'm a co-founder of Unbound Merino, an e-commerce apparel brand built right here on Shopify. Let's start out by simply asking, what exactly is a value proposition? At its core, a value proposition is a promise you make to your customer post-purchase. You're essentially saying, this purchase will outperform your expectations and solve the problem that needs solving. A value proposition is bigger than the product or services.
So the problem that needs solving, so if you heard that, the first place that we start is what is the problem that needs to be solving. So you can't address a value proposition without addressing what the problem is.
On our website, we use value propositions to help our customers better understand that what we're selling is more than just a t-shirt. If you look at our website, the first thing you'll notice is the header text, which says the ultimate in everyday high performance clothing. So right out the gate, we're promising high performance clothing, but the promises have to run deeper than just a quality claim. Our job is to help customers see the layers of value they'll receive or the benefits they'll experience as a direct result of making a purchase on our website. So let's look a little further.
So I think that what that says is, okay, so if it's high quality, like what are the benefits that high quality affords you? And that's where you get down into here. It's high quality, which means it's premium, right? It's premium. Merino wool is what's going to cause it to be premium. And then that premium product allows it, that because it's a premium product made of merino wool, it provides these benefits.
The copy on our t-shirt product page is there to explicitly communicate our value proposition. Wash less, wear longer, simplify your life with our best-selling 100% merino crew. As you can see, right next to our product photography, we are communicating 3 things about our product. But more importantly, we're showing potential buyers the holistic impact our product will have in their life. We sell t-shirts and other high-quality merino clothing, but what people are actually buying is simplicity. Less washing, more wearing, and a less complicated life. That's the value proposition. And it carries through other parts of our website, advertising, and marketing materials. Now let's look at another website, Pillacase. Pillacase is a brand that makes phone cases. That's the product. But the value proposition is the promise they make to their customers. Look at the main header on their homepage. Front and center, it says, Meet Pila, the world's first compostable phone case. This is the value proposition. The product is a phone case. The value is giving the consumer the ability to live more sustainably and reduce their carbon footprint. While you're selling a physical good, what the customer is really buying is the sense of satisfaction of being a better global citizen. Product, phone case. Value proposition, sustainability, and becoming a part of the solution. Let's take a look at one more website that's built its business on a rock-solid value proposition.
If you notice that he says, so the product is a phone case, not a sustainable phone case. So just a lot of people would have said the product is a sustainable phone case. No, the product is just a phone case. And the value prop is the fact that it's sustainable. Just a small.
More website that's built its business on a rock solid value proposition. Intelligent change. The value proposition is the first thing you read on their homepage. Tools to positively change your life. They provide a wide range of products like the 5-minute journal, which is a gratitude journal, the productivity planner, which is a task managing workbook, and an hourglass timer for 30-minute work intervals. These products are great, but the value isn't the relatively common items that they sell. You can get those just about anywhere. The real reason people buy products from Intelligent Change is that they sell the larger value proposition of personal development and growth, and that's bigger than any individual product on the site. The key to honing in on your value proposition is to think from the perspective of the consumer. Focus on their desires, needs, and wants. That focus is far more important than any detail or feature.
Yeah, and that's, focusing on the customer and putting yourselves in the customer's shoes. A lot of people, when you're selling, a lot of people want to sell. I guess from a founder's perspective, like if you're starting a company, a lot of people have this idea on this product, and they create this product, they create this thing that they want, and they never really step in the customer's shoes and understand how, from a customer's perspective, it might help them. They're just selling that, hey, I have this thing. Do you want this thing? Hey, I have this thing. Rather than saying, hey, you have this problem. I have this thing that might be able to help it.
Of the products that you're selling. The book, titled Value Proposition Design from the Strategizer series, breaks the customer profile into 3 sections. Here are 3 important things to consider when coming up with your value proposition for your customers. Number 1, customer jobs. Think of your product from the perspective of being hired to do a job. There's a framework called Jobs to Be Done, JTBD, that will help you focus your thinking around why customers buy our products. In a nutshell, what job is my product being hired to do by the customer? It sounds a little weird, but looking at purchasing like hiring can bring a lot of clarity to your value proposition. With our products, clothing, we ask the question, what jobs are people hiring our clothing to do? We're not a fashion brand, so we know people don't hire our clothing for the job of gaining social status or appearing trendy. Our clothing is hired for the job of solving a specific problem, streamlining and upgrading their wardrobe with a few quality pieces of gear that perform day in and day out. Travelers, both business and pleasure, hire Unbound Merino to reduce the amount of luggage they need to pack from a big suitcase to a small carry-on. Traveling gets easier and better when they invest in our value proposition. By knowing the jobs to be done with clarity, we can equip ourselves with the right messaging in our ads and on our website. Number 2, customer pains. Think of your product as a solution to your customers' pain points. What problems, obstacles, or risks does your product help alleviate? In our case, we've spoken before about the annoyance of traveling with lots of luggage, waiting at the luggage carousel, the risk of your checked bag going missing or being stolen, the hassle of having to schlep a big bag through a new city or up a flight of stairs. Our value proposition directly solves this by allowing our customers to pack less and travel more. Our value proposition is all about providing a solution to the customer's pain points. Number 3, customer gains. Describe the specific benefits that your customer will gain when they purchase your product. Gains can include money saved, social gains, extra utility, etc. For Unbound Merino, some of the gains could include time saved by not having to wait for checked luggage, or not having to do as much laundry at home or on the road. If you break down your customer profile by listing the jobs to be done, customer pains, and customer gains, you can begin to pair value propositions with specific needs and identifiable desires that will motivate your potential clients to become loyal customers. Get to know your customers as well as possible. That's the best way to hone in on your value proposition. Surveys can help, but in my...
Yeah, I don't know. I got lost a little bit. There was a lot of language going on there, so I got lost in that a little bit. Maybe you did or didn't. I think, focusing on the customer and really identifying... We call it the core customer. Identifying a single user that's like the perfect person that was going to purchase your product, if you could identify them, and putting yourselves in their shoes, and then thinking back, okay, what are the problems that they are experiencing, and then how can I communicate that the product that I have perfectly fits into their life to solve those problems, and does so at a price point and in a way that they find appealing. So you need to, the goal is to really couple all of that together to really properly convey our message.
My experience, talking to actual customers on Zoom or on a phone call is the best way to tap into the well of insights that they can provide. I emailed customers and asked them if they'd be willing to have a full hour-long phone call where I can interview them about what led them to make a purchase on our website in exchange for a $100 gift card. You'd be surprised at how willing customers are to spend some time with you and share their experience. There's a lot to learn here, obviously, from the big, thought-provoking aha moments to just picking up on the little nuances in the language customers use when describing your products. Both are extremely helpful in decoding and articulating value propositions. Now that you've taken the time to consider the value proposition of your business, you may need some helpful tools to turn it into a reality. At Shopify, they believe that running a business should be a possibility for everyone, which is why they offer a totally free, no-risk 14-day trial. If your business requires a reliable, robust tool that will allow you to scale and grow your business, be sure to check out the link below to access the full Shopify platform. Shopify will fully support you in building the business of your dreams, just like they've done for me. If you found this video to be helpful...
All right. Well, I guess I don't have a recap because I feel like my last statement kind of did so. So let's actually run into this one. I wasn't sure if I would get to it, but let's go through writing a problem statement. And again, our project here is defining our problem. So we want to, really talk about what is the problem that our customer is experiencing. So writing a problem statement is probably going to be pretty important to do.
Albert Einstein once said that if he had 1 hour to solve a problem, he'd spend 55 minutes thinking about the problem and 5 minutes thinking about the solution. 55 minutes on the problem.
Which most people would do exactly opposite.
Fortunately, we've evolved since Einstein's time.
Well, from an unpacking standpoint, we may not have enough boots on the ground, so let's peel back the onion on this.
The elephant in the room is this paradigm shift, which is just basically mission-critical, low-hanging fruit with no value add. So, seal the deal, gather the troops, and let's aim for the win-win.
Copy.
If you catch yourself smiling, it's probably because you've heard it before. Corporate speak. In corporate speak, we discuss silos and wagons that need circling and moving goalposts. But what does any of it even mean? Using ambiguous language creates the illusion we understand one another when really, we don't. It clouds our understanding of what needs to be solved and why. So let's talk about how to cut through the ambiguity and write a good problem statement. Author and inspirational speaker Simon Sinek says that people don't buy what you do, they buy why you do it. If you think you're not trying to sell something with your problem statement, think again. People don't buy what problem you're trying to solve, they buy why you're solving it. So rather than focusing on the problem, we'll get to that, I promise. Let's first have a conversation about who cares about the problem and why. Imagine you're a small business owner who's just opened a new restaurant in town. You're excited, but you also have a problem. Your restaurant is in a bad location. If we follow Simon's formula, people don't buy location problems, they buy why we solve them. So why do we? We solve them because we believe it will help the business thrive by bringing more customers to our restaurant. So our problem isn't location, it's not having enough customers. But why does this distinction even matter? Bad location means no customers. No customers means no business. The problem is location. Well, what if you relocate your business, but it doesn't bring you additional customers? The real problem remains, albeit in a nicer location now. It's important not to confuse problems with their causes to avoid situations like this one. So assemble your team and ask the question, who cares about our project and why, to discern the true problem that needs solving. Once you're satisfied with why the problem must be solved, let's nail the what by getting curious about the problem. The idea is to remove as much ambiguity as possible so you can discern what's most important. Let's go back to our restaurant example. Not enough customers. What kind of customers are we talking about? Dine-in, bar, to go? And how many customers are enough customers? 100? Or is it 1,000? Does the visit rate matter, or just the total customer visits? Do we care what they order? What if our entire restaurant was flooded with groups of 10 ordering, just chips and water, please, but they stay for hours? Is it fair to attribute a revenue problem to just volume alone? Also, how will we know when our problem is solved? How many customers of what type will we need to no longer have a problem? At first, try not to worry too much about being concise, but just capture everyone's thoughts. Once you've asked and answered the team's questions to your satisfaction, draft a problem description by including the most relevant details from your discussion. A good rule of thumb is to describe a problem that is measurable in some way. This will be helpful for calculating the return on investment for the project by measuring things like how many lives did you impact, how much time did you save, how many adverse events did you prevent.
I don't know if I'd really worry about that type of stuff. Yeah, I don't know if we care about
measurable in some way. This by including the most relevant details from your discussion. A good rule of thumb is to describe a problem that is measurable in some way. This will be helpful for calculating the return on investment for the project
we do want
by measuring things
measurable.
like how many lives did you impact, how much time did you save,
we
how
also,
many adverse events
we also can get creative with how we measure success.
did you prevent.
In order to really get to the problem, you have to have a group of people in a room discussing what the problem is before someone just says, here's what the problem is. Because I guarantee if someone says, here's what the problem is, there's 3 other people in that room that will say, that's actually not the problem. And so it's really important to dig deeper and really understand what the problem is at a very intimate level. And that means critiquing every problem statement that comes out.
Just because a problem matters doesn't mean it's worth solving.
Yep.
Have you ever heard a project justified in the spirit of continuous improvement? What we may as well be saying is, we chose to work on this problem because it's good to work on problems, continuously. If time and money were no object, I suppose that rationale would work, but they're not. You are making a trade-off when you choose to do an improvement project. You're choosing not to do something else. So why might a healthcare team prioritize one improvement project over another? One reason might be because of your relative performance in a certain area to peer institutions. If the team found themselves in the bottom percentiles of observed to extensive mortality, for example, then the rationale would be pretty clear why it was made a priority for improvement. Another rationale could be in pursuit of the organization's mission and vision. Let's say your organization's vision is to be the nation's best in cancer care, but really you're just average by all standard performance measures. By stating the organization's vision and your desire to move closer towards it, most audiences would understand the rationale for solving a cancer care-related problem. Try not to think of your rationale as being right or wrong. Think of it as having a rationale or not having one. Having one is important because, as it turns out, people like knowing why they're doing what they're doing. As a team, talk about why your project deserves the time you're about to give it, and make sure you include your sponsors in that discussion.
I think one thing that we do in healthcare, I would say, I'm hesitant to say poorly, but I think we do poorly, is we jump to conclusions. Seriously, the most important thing that you can do in this entire program is understand how to solve a problem. And the first step is knowing the problem statement. I always like to tell my team, focus on the why first and the how falls in place.
The problem statement and background may feel like foregone conclusions, but resist the temptation to assume that everyone is on the same page. It will serve you better to assume that you are not. Whether the project is being...
Okay, I'll let that finish up. So I guess the conclusion here is, okay, so we're focusing on problems, and to focus on problems, we have to focus on customers. So we need to identify who we are targeting, who we believe has this problem, and figure out a message that will connect with them. So, for instance, if I'm, if I've got a restaurant, so if we go back to that restaurant example, it was dark, it was moody, it was tall pours. The problem that they're solving isn't that people need to eat, right? The problem that they're solving, and the reason it's dark and moody with tall pores, is because, people like groups connectedness is there aren't places for people to connect as groups, and providing a place with this atmosphere allows those specific types of individuals a place to go and connect, or something like that. I think there was let's see, what else do we have? There was I want to say, well, so Aquamine is a contact stick-on smart device for showers that tracks water use. Okay, our problem is not I can't track water use. Our problem isn't that it isn't really even that I use too much water. Well, why do you use too much water? What does that even mean, using too much water? I guarantee you could use too much. You could use more water. So why, so is it a financial thing? Is it a saving the environment thing? Is it, so this says most people use unintentional waste gallons while showering. So waste gallons, I mean, that's a value statement. Waste, I may be like, it's not waste, I'm getting warm. Now, maybe I'm not your customer. So your customer will identify that it's waste, but why are they saying it's waste? What is their underlying view of the world that leads to them to say that it's waste? Okay, and that kind of leads to a problem. Okay, you got the assignment. You've got my feedback. You've got a couple notes here. I'm excited to see what you do, and take a look at what we've got next week. All right, as always, if you have any questions or concerns, please, you can book an appointment by coming here on my calendar. I'm happy to talk and happy to go through things with you. Have a great week, and I will talk to you soon. Thanks.